The news hit like a thunderclap. America had won, and it was a victory on a scale few could have imagined. The world watched in shock as the story broke, the air electric with anticipation and disbelief. Headlines screamed, "Trump's trillion-dollar triumph, the art of the deal." It was political theater at its flashiest, a spectacle designed to dazzle and dominate every conversation. The message was hammered home again and again. America was victorious, and the world was finally paying up. The sense of national pride was palpable, echoing through city streets and small towns alike. President Trump, through sheer force of will and relentless negotiation, had secured over $1 trillion in commitments. $750 billion from Europe, $300 billion from South Korea. The numbers were staggering, almost unbelievable. The story was intoxicating. American strength restored, jobs secured, the nation redeemed. Factories buzzed with new hope, and workers celebrated what felt like a new era. For years, we'd heard that other countries were taking advantage of us, draining our resources and undermining our prosperity. Now the tables had turned, or so it seemed. Trump, we were told, had reversed decades of decline and forced allies to pay their fair share. The narrative was simple. America was back on top, and the world had no choice but to follow. Cable news analysts painted a picture of prosperity. Foreign capital would supercharge the economy, creating jobs for generations to come. The future looked brighter than ever, at least on the surface. But beautiful pictures often hide the fine print. Behind every bold headline, there are details that rarely make the news. While the nation celebrated, the real mechanics of these deals were far more complex, and, for some, deeply concerning. The negotiations behind closed doors told a different story. The headlines promised a win for America, but who actually benefits? The factory worker, the farmer, or a much smaller, wealthier group pulling the strings from behind the scenes? The euphoria was a distraction, a magic trick. While we watched the spectacle unfold, the real action was happening out of sight, hidden from public view. The victory lap was relentless, parades and celebrations filling the airwaves, but the true cost, and the real winners, remained hidden in the shadows. In the end, the headlines were the show. The reality was buried in the details, tucked away in documents and deals no one wanted you to see, waiting for someone to look beyond the spectacle. So, what's actually in this trillion-dollar deal, and what does it really mean for America's future? On paper, it's a spectacular win, one that's being celebrated from Wall Street to Washington. Europe has agreed to purchase $750 billion worth of American liquefied natural gas over the next 30 years, effectively tying its energy future to U.S. suppliers and making America a central player in Europe's energy security. Meanwhile, South Korea has pledged $300 billion, focusing on building advanced semiconductor and battery plants on American soil, and committing to buy American software and technology. These deals are being sold to the public as ironclad guarantees of American dominance in both energy and technology for decades to come. But look closer. These aren't traditional free trade agreements. They're about control, leverage, and locking in American advantage. Europe is now required to buy a set volume of LNG at prices that heavily favor American suppliers, regardless of market shifts. South Korean companies must build their factories in the U.S., with American regulators overseeing not just production, but also the sharing of sensitive technology. It's less a partnership, and more like a landlord-tenant relationship, with no real escape clause for the tenants. The official narrative is simple. America gets their money, they get our products, and everyone walks away a winner. But the reality is far more complicated. These deals increasingly look like a one-way street, with wealth and resources flowing directly into America's coffers. The promise is bold: a new manufacturing renaissance, true energy independence, and prosperity for all Americans. But as history shows, promises that sound too good to be true often come with hidden costs and unexpected consequences. The structure of these deals ensures not just American profit, but American control over key industries and global supply chains. The real question is, who actually benefits from this new era of economic nationalism? Is it the nation as a whole or just a select few? The answer for now may not be the average American family struggling to get by. Europe's energy future is now chained to the U.S., a $750 billion deal that makes America its sole gas station. This isn't partnership, it's dependency. Europe can't negotiate, seek better prices, or change course. Critics call it energy colonialism, extracting wealth from a captive market. No armies, just tankers and contracts. Europe's autonomy traded for American LNG. The consequences? European manufacturing becomes less competitive, costs rise, and political instability grows. Leaders must justify paying a premium for energy while cheaper options exist elsewhere. The deal locks Europe into a permanent economic handicap, ensuring it can't challenge U.S. supremacy. This dependency was manufactured, accept our terms or face crippling tariffs. The result? American energy companies profit, US power grows, and Europe loses sovereignty. It's domination without a shot fired. The brilliance is in the leverage, the cost is borne by our oldest allies. For a generation, Europe will pay the price for America's win. How does this affect you? Tariffs. To force these deals, the US wielded tariffs like a club, and many remain as enforcement. Europe buys our gas, but we slap tariffs on their goods, cars, cheese, wine, olive oil. These tariffs aren't paid by European companies, they're paid by you, the American consumer. Prices rise, that bottle of olive oil, that German car, that French cheese all cost more. Fewer choices, higher prices. Small producers get priced out, shelves grow emptier. The market shrinks and your options become more limited. The strategy, make foreign goods expensive so you buy American. But what if there's no good American alternative? You pay more or go without. This fuels inflation, squeezing family budgets. The trillion-dollar victory is paid for dollar by dollar at the checkout. The celebration is for industry, but the cost is yours. Winning, it turns out, comes with a hidden bill. The South Korea deal followed the same ruthless playbook, this time with technology. The stakes were higher, and the pressure even more intense, as the world watched two economic giants negotiate their future. South Korean giants like Samsung and Hyundai must build massive US factories or lose access to the American market. The message was clear: adapt to American demands or risk being shut out of the world's largest economy. It's a gilded cage, new jobs and investment, but on America's terms. The promise of prosperity comes with invisible chains, binding South Korea's future to decisions made in Washington. Profits from these plants are subject to US strategic profit oversight, meaning Washington decides where the money goes. Even the most successful factories must answer to American priorities, not just market forces. South Korea's manufacturing expertise is being relocated, making it dependent on US politics. The know-how and innovation that once powered Korean growth now serve American interests first. If the rules change, those factories could become stranded assets. Years of investment and effort could be wiped out by a single policy shift, leaving South Korea exposed and vulnerable. South Korea's economic future is now tied to American decisions. Every handshake and signature deepens the dependency, making it harder to walk away. This isn't free market capitalism, it's state-directed, picking winners and losers. The game is rigged, and the rules are written in Washington, not Seoul. America gains control, South Korea loses autonomy. The balance of power shifts, and the cost of compliance grows with every new demand. The profits and intellectual property from the next tech wave flow to America, but only by strong-arming a partner. South Korea's innovation becomes another tool in America's arsenal. The jobs narrative masks a power play that turns an ally into a subordinate. Behind the smiles and speeches, the real story is about control, not cooperation. The relationship is no longer equal, it's a deal they couldn't refuse. South Korea signs, not out of desire, but out of necessity, with little room to negotiate. The cost? A friend turned into a vassal, paying for the privilege of access. In the end, the price of partnership is sovereignty itself. These deals aren't just trade, they're a new world order. For 70 years, America led alliances based on shared values and free trade. Now our allies are tributaries, paying for favor and protection. The language of the deals is clear. One-sided advantages for the US. Europe must buy our energy. South Korea must build our factories. The benefits flow one way. This is zero-sum thinking. For America to win, others must lose. Weakening allies doesn't make us stronger, it makes the democratic world more fragile. Treating partners as cash machines erodes trust and goodwill. Why would nations stand with us against real threats if we act like economic bullies? This strategy isolates America, encouraging others to form alliances against us. We're trading long-term security for short-term gain. Ironically, we're adopting the same coercive tactics we once condemned in rivals. The shift from leader of the free world to global landlord, a dangerous turn. America's trillion-dollar deals should mean prosperity for all, right? The reality is different. The most immediate impact, a higher cost of living. Tariffs remain, making imported goods, from cars to electronics, permanently more expensive. Everyday necessities, from food to appliances, now cost more. Wages aren't keeping up, families are squeezed. The victory feels like a loss at the kitchen table. Who benefits? Mostly large energy and tech corporations, not ordinary Americans. The costs, higher prices, are spread across everyone else. It's a massive transfer of wealth, upward socialism for the rich, capitalism for the rest. Restricting competition and inflating prices risks runaway inflation. The middle class is hollowed out, inequality soars, and the economy overheats. The celebration in Washington is a world away from the anxiety at home. Europe and South Korea were just the beginning. Now, the administration targets India and China. The message: accept our terms or face tariffs and market restrictions. India faces demands to buy American defense and agriculture, or risk a trade war. For India, it's an impossible choice: economic sovereignty or American pressure. China is the ultimate prize. The goal forced Beijing to open its markets on U.S. terms. This isn't just trade, it's a gamble for global supremacy. The risk: a global trade war, shattered supply chains, and recession. This brinkmanship creates global instability. No country is safe. Today it's allies, tomorrow it's rivals. The world enters an age of economic anarchy, with America holding the matches. The strategy may look bold, but it risks setting the world on fire. August 2nd, 2025, the greatest trade victory in American history. On paper, trillion-dollar deals, allies turned tributaries, America on top. But did you, the ordinary American, actually win? Profits flow to a select few, the rest face higher prices, fewer choices, and rising inequality. The world is more unstable, our partners more resentful. The cost of empire economics is paid by those it was meant to help. Working and middle-class families face a crisis: inflation, shrinking budgets, and broken promises. The nation's greatness is built on their sacrifice, not their prosperity. The operation was a success, but the patient is suffering. Is this the victory we wanted? Or have we traded partnership for domination, enriching the elite while the masses pay? The headlines scream winning, but for millions it doesn't feel like victory. The final question: did America win the trade war, or did its people just lose?